Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm excited to say we're actually starting to do something constructive to the Nova. I've got the frame cleaned up. I did that off camera because I didn't figure anybody wanted to see me sanding for 2 days and getting all the rust off the frame. So today I'm going to show you the frame and I'm going to try to get it primed. I can only prime so much of it because I've got it setting flat, but I'm going to prime some of it today and then I'll flip it over, prime the other part tomorrow, and then after that then we'll flip it again and we'll start painting it. I'll show you what I've done to it so far. Check it out. Alright, since the last time you saw this frame, I've done a lot of work to it. As you can see, I've sanded most of the rust and dirt and grime and all that stuff off of it. I straightened up the front frame rails. This, the passenger side, of course, was just twisted. It wasn't real bad. It was the driver's side that was really bad. Now, I cut it, and I cut the piece that was bent real bad on the side out. As you can see, I straightened it up. I cut the top, and then I straightened it up too, and then did a little trimming here and there, and then welded it back together. It's not perfect, but it's a whole lot better than what it was, and it kept me from having to buy a new subframe, which, you know, subframe's $1,000. This work didn't cost me a whole lot, just welding wire and some time. Same thing with the sanding. Getting as much of the rust off of it as I really could. I mean, there's a few spots in there I probably could have got a little bit more off, but for the most part I did a good job on getting it clean and ready for paint. So what I'm going to do, like I said, I got to mix it up, set everything up to prime it today. Now the primer I'm using is a rust encapsulating primer, so even though there is a little bit of rust in a few spots, it should go ahead and encapsulate it, convert it so that it doesn't rust anymore in the future. So follow along as I get started on the paint and the primer at least. Alright, I've got my primer mixed up. This ain't the best gun in the world, but it should work fine for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So let's see how we can do with it. All right, it's been a couple hours since I painted this, primed it, but it's looking pretty good. It's pretty well dry to the touch. As you can see, all pretty well uniform color. Now I gotta wait till tomorrow. So because I have to give this about 24 hours before I could possibly recoat it, but I got to flip it over to the other side and do the bottom. And if I do it too soon, then it'll cause the paint, or the primer. I keep saying paint, but it'll cause this primer to peel up on the edges or bubble or something. So I'm not going to take a chance on trying to go back after it too soon. So at least it's done. I looked at my footage from when I painted it, and between the gun giving me a little bit of problems because I didn't have it adjusted correctly right at the beginning, I finally did get it, and the camera kind of messed up on me. I lost a little bit of footage of painting, but at least I got some of it where I started. So, but that's it for right now. We'll come back tomorrow once I get it flipped over and get ready to paint the other side. Hey, we're back. Today's day 2 of the painting the frame. So we've already got it flipped over. So I'm going to show this to you real quick and let you see what we're looking at on the bottom of the frame. Again, we still got a little bit of rust, but not too much. And we'll get it coated, and I'll come back and show you that once we're done. All right, as you can see here, we got it flipped over. The paint from yesterday turned out really well. I'm very happy with the results. So now all we got to do is get this whole underside done. As you can see, inside these rails here, there's some rust. I couldn't get anything in there really to get those super clean. I don't have a sandblaster or anything, but this primer does a really good job of encapsulating and neutralizing the rust so it doesn't come back. So we'll keep on moving, and we'll come back in a little bit and show you the finished after we got it finished painting. All right, we're back out here, and this is near the end of the day basically. I did this early this morning, and then we left and was gone for most of the day. But if you look at this, I'm quite happy with the way this turned out. Everything looks good. So like I said, there it is. Now that we've got this part done, we got to prep the primer, light sanding, and then we'll put the paint on it. And once we do that, we'll come back. In the meantime, or during this time, I'll also be trying to finish up the control arms and getting those ready for the prime and paint. So come back with that, or I'll come back with that, and it'll only be a few minutes on camera, but it'll be tomorrow before I get to that point. So follow along. Hey, we're back. This has been the 3rd day. We got the primer on it, and I flipped it over and everything. We sanded down the primer with some fine grit sandpaper, and then we cleaned it up, wiped it off and everything. So now I've painted it on the bottom side, and I want to show that to you. Tomorrow we'll flip it over and finish painting the top side, and then that part of the framework will be done. So let's check this out. Here it is, gloss black. It's been about 2 to 3 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that, since I painted it. I got it on just a touch heavy. It's got a little bit of orange peel, but for the most part it looks good. But the way this thing started out, I'm pretty damn happy with it. So I didn't think I'd get it to look this nice. So once I flip it over and finish the top side up, I'll show you that one. Come back for that. All right, here we have it. We finally got the frame painted. It's a little dusty today. Painted this yesterday, or finished the painting yesterday. It's a little bit dusty today, but all in all, I'm happy with it. It looks good. Now, after all, it is going to be underneath the car for the most part and hidden by the engine and all that stuff. But this, along with the inner fenders and the firewall and the what's it called, radiator support, I knew I'd eventually get it out of my head and out of my mouth, will all be like this. So I want it all to match. And then what we're working on now, we've already got 2 of the control arms cleaned up and ready to paint. We'll clean these 2 control arms, the steering box, the drag link, the anti-sway bar, just that kind of stuff, just to get everything nice and clean and get it rust free and sealed up so it doesn't rust again. That's what we're looking at. We're going to try to get that done here in the next day or 2. Of course, I'm still just working on at night after work and some weekends when I have the opportunity. So just hang on and we'll keep going. Just a quick update. As you can see here in front of us, I got the A-arms, control arms, whichever you want to call them. Got those primed. They're looking really good. And I just about have the transmission cross member cleaned up. It's bent, so I've got to heat it up a little bit, straighten it out. And then it's got some issues with the edges being beat up, and somebody's tried to weld on it a little bit and they did not that great of a job. So I'll go back and clean that up, re-weld it, make it look smooth. As a side note, my welding should improve because I've got gas now for my welder, so I'm not using flux core. And this was just, ouch, that's really hot, but that is just my practices in the, sorry, this was my 3rd run. It's the best I've welded ever in my life, probably, other than the little pinhole at the end. There's a big difference between, for me of course, this is my first time actually truly MIG welding. There's a big difference between MIG welding and stick welding or even flux core wire feed. But as you can see here, still working on this. I had to take a short break, but I wanted to give you an update on this. So hang on, and we're going to keep moving on. Hello. Hey, I know I'm all over the place with this video, but I got the control arms primed and painted, and now I got the steering box, the drag link, and the transmission mount also primed and painted. The reason this video, it's kind of taken me a long time to get to this point, excuse me, is on top of messing with the car, I also, let me get back up here a little bit, I built this A-frame lift over the weekend, and it took a lot of time to get it cut and measured and welded, set up. So I took a little bit of time away from the car to get this ready, and it's not the best, of course, because I'm not the best fabricator, but at the same time it'll do what I need it to do. Pretty simplistic. Got some saddles welded on the top and a bar running across them, bolted in. between each leg I got a horizontal piece on the ground that strengthens up the bottom of the legs, of course, as well as making it a little bit easier to move. And then I've got this piece here in the middle just to shorten up, you know, the span of the legs. So it's all 2-inch schedule 40 pipe. That's one of the reasons why this video has taken a while, and I apologize. I will get this finished up. I still got a couple of other things I want to go through before I publish this video. My pile of parts here is kind of going down as I finish up cleaning and painting things. Right now I've got a spring there cleaned up pretty much. Got the other one cleaned up. Once I get these 3 things taken down, and I'll put those springs up and I'll paint those. And then I'm going to clean up the brake lines. These brake lines are still in pretty good shape, so I'm going to clean them up, wire brush them, or use steel wool on them. And I'm going to clear coat those. I got some really good clear coat, and I still got to clean up the motor mounts or replace those. I'm not sure I trust those. I don't know if those are the original ones or not. This car's had 2 or 3 different motors in it through the years. So I want to get those either cleaned up or just replace them. But that's about all for this point, at this point. So keep following along, and I'll keep moving through this video until we get all these parts painted, because I want to have everything painted in time to cure before I start reassembly. Alright, we're back with the car. It's been a while since we've been over here by the car on camera, but off camera I have cleaned up, as you can see, pretty much. It's not perfectly clean, but it's a lot cleaner than what it was when I started. Kind of sanded off the firewall. I've taken a bunch of stuff loose, gotten it out of the way, prepped it, vacuumed the cowling out, just wiped all this down real good, and we're getting ready to spray this so it matches the rest of the engine compartment and starts, you know, it looks clean together. So we will come back to that shortly. All right, it's been a couple hours now since I painted this. It looks pretty good, especially when it's compared to what it looked like before. So there you have it. This is pretty much what I've been waiting for before I finished up this video, so I wanted to get this done. That way when I come back for the next video, we can start putting things back together. So at least now I can start ordering the parts, which I've been putting off, to start getting this put back together. All right, well, that's pretty much the end of the video. As you've seen, we pretty much have all the front end parts painted, the subframe, the suspension, steering box, so on and so forth. So in the next video, I'll have like the subframe mount bushings, so we can put it back underneath the car. From there we'll have hopefully get the control arm bushings and start on the steering and that stuff, and then get the engine cleaned up, painted, whatever, and try to get the engine back in, get the steering, so on and so forth, all done, so that way we can move to the rear suspension, as well as cleaning up the inside of this car. The inside of this car is pretty nasty still, and I've been putting it off so that I could get all this front end done. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Let me know why. Let me know for something special that you want me to do, or something that you think I missed. Whatever the case, just let me know. But again, come back for the next video when we try to get this put back together. We'll see you then.